Are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 4,000 hours of the best pro wrestling events from over 110 of the biggest names in the industry from over 15 countries around the globe. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Don't you want to sound rich?
Welcome to the 57th episode of Social Suplex's podcast about AEW with a proclivity for positivity. Welcome to All Things Elite. I am your host, Floyd Johnson, and with me today is a name longtime listeners of the show may remember. It is my friend that got me into podcasting, Mr. Dave Brown. I call him Silky. What's up today, Silky?
Good morning, my fine friend. You know, yes, folks, you can blame me for getting to hear the dulcet tones of one Mr. Floyd Johnson Jr. every week. I didn't realize you've been doing this for 57 weeks. That's awesome. That's a nice little run there you've got going on, sir. It's been over a year.
Over a year. It's just, I enjoy doing this. I enjoy talking about AEW. And they do a good job of staying relevant and giving me news every week, which is great. Because there was, when the show started, I didn't think there was going to be enough news. And then, with everything going on right now. And it just seems like we always have news. We always have something to talk about. And I'm going to ask you the question I've been asking, asked Tiffany and asked everybody. How are you handling isolation, sir?
It's weird. So thankfully, my job, I work for one of the bigger library systems here in the state of Oklahoma. And so I still have my job, still getting paid, all that good stuff. We're working from home. It's just weird that, my kitchen table is now kind of my office. And being home all the time is odd, and I have to force myself into a routine. So, I still get up to an alarm. I still work out in the morning. I've added going on, I like to say it's a jog, but in reality, it's 1/3 jog, 3/4, 2/3 walk in the afternoon. And so I'm trying to stay sane. I've fallen a bit behind in my schoolwork, but luckily my professors have been super awesome. More than anything, I think through all of this, we've just, for the most part, people have been trying to give each other lots of space, lots of leeway, lots of grace, because we all know this is a really jacked up situation, and we're all kind of losing our minds. But I'm just trying to stay busy. I've been when I'm not, in my spare time, like on my lunch breaks and stuff, since all of my normal shows I watch are pretty much on kind of an unintended hiatus right now. I've been rewatching Star Trek: The Next Generation because I'd watched Star Trek Picard, and I'd forgotten how much I love the Next Generation characters. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just start this bad boy over. And there were a couple seasons I never saw from back in the day. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to watch this. And I've been thoroughly enjoying it. There's, overall, I think the special effects hold up. all things considered. And there's some stuff that looks cheesy and whatnot, but But there's nothing better than, LeVar Burton doing his Reading Rainbow gimmick with a hair tie thing on it across his eyes. I always wondered how well he could see out of that. Good on you, Kunta Kinte. It's just such a good show. But yeah, I'm doing okay.
You just went through all of his characters, didn't you?
I did, man. You hit the high notes right there.
Yeah, you hit the high notes, man.
I mean, and really, what is LeVar Burton going to be remembered for? 3 things: Kunta Kinte and Roots, Reading Rainbow.
People.
Right, for the oldies out there. Reading Rainbow, that's also more of an older thing. And then Geordie LaForge on Star Trek: The Next Generation. Well, I guess he still does some Reading Rainbow stuff. The show, I don't know if the show's on PBS anymore. It might be on in some places as basically reruns. But yeah, I always like LeVar Burton. He seems like a decent dude.
Yeah, I thought he was hilarious on Big Bang Theory when he was on an episode of Fun with Flags for Shelton. So Shelton had to delete his number and never contact him again, which was awesome.
As much of a nerd as I am, and as much as I love comic books and science fiction and all that stuff, I've never watched Big Bang Theory.
Well, you don't like sitcoms.
I like some sitcoms. I love Seinfeld.
No, but you're not a sitcom person. Like, Seinfeld is actually the least sitcom ever. Because, sitcom stands for situational comedies. And their shows really weren't about situations. It was just kind of like a show.
Right. Yeah, when I think about it, like my favorite things that fall under the sitcom umbrella would be Seinfeld and Parks and Recreation.
Yeah. I can't.
And
yeah, people love Parks and Recreation. I'm like, it's a show.
Oh, I love it. I just love it. My kids keep trying to get me to watch The Office, and I think if I would ever commit myself to doing that, I would really like it at some point once I got to know the characters. But just my first few viewings, I'm like, these are all horrible people. And I kind of have a hard time getting past that. Oh, but you know what? I love New Girl.
Oh, yeah.
New Girl
really good sitcom.
Amazing. That was a great show.
Finally,
and
one that I actually like.
There you go. The closest thing to a sitcom, and I don't think it qualifies as a sitcom, but it's kind of on that border. But the closest thing to a sitcom that I watch now on current television is Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. And that's probably more of a dramedy.
I was going to say, it's an hour long. Sitcoms have to be 30 minutes. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
You can't be an hour long. You can't be an hour long sitcom. I do love that show though, and I could imagine you love it because it's all about music. Probably all music you hate, but music.
No, actually, there's been a lot of songs on there they've used I really like, and because there is some mainstream music that I really like. I love Queen. But I sometimes I have to wonder if you don't like at least one Queen song, I might look at you funny like you don't have a soul. Because, it's freaking Queen. Come on now.
Queen and Journey were like things I discovered from the show Glee. I had never really heard. It was like I'd heard the songs, right? I watched TV and movies, so I'd heard the songs. But I wouldn't have known who Queen and Journey was like as a band until that show.
Right. Well, that's not in your wheelhouse, so that makes sense.
Yeah. I know a lot of people don't know. I am African American, so Queen and Journey weren't something that my parents played a lot when I was growing up.
They weren't spinning "Don't Stop Believing" for you on a regular basis?
No.
And my God, could Journey, especially in the 70s and early 80s, they were quite possibly the whitest band on earth. If you've ever seen any of their old videos, my God.
No.
It's hysterical, especially now watching them. But yeah, my thing with Journey, I always kind of hated Journey until Glee, and then that kind of turned me on. But the irony is, so Journey's old lead singer, Steve Perry, had a hit in the 80s called "Oh Sherry."
Okay.
And I loved that song, and I always loved that song. But I was like, I don't like that "Don't Stop Believing." That whatever. The irony is "Oh Sherry" sounds exactly like a Journey song. And so it just took me, I just had to hear it in the right frame of mind to go, okay, I can't deny this. This is freaking great.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up on probably 70s music more than anything. My dad actually owned a record store in the 70s.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I mean, I was an adult before I even knew that. You know, old school. My dad was old school. He didn't sit down and tell us about his life. You know, I found out from other people about his life. He loved music. He really did love music. He's one of those people that he could hold a note, but he couldn't sing like great, but he could hold a note. And he could dance just enough to be not where you can't dance. Two things I never didn't inherit. I can't sing or dance. I will sing and I will dance, but I am bad at both of them.
I get to see this, man. I've got to see both of these.
I enjoy singing. I enjoy dancing. I enjoy dance movies like Step Up and Breaking, Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Breaking 2 is incredible.
Love dance movies because they can all do something that I wish I could do.
Now, did you speaking of those breakdancing classics? Did you ever see Beat Street?
I did.
Oh my God,
that was Blair Underwood, right? Is that the one with Blair Underwood?
I think so. It's the one where there was a guy who did. There's a guy who wanted to be a DJ, and then there was a guy who did really good graffiti art, and then it had the Santa rap, which every Christmas season I go back and I watch the Santa rap. I can practically recite the Santa rap. Ho ho ho, open up your dough. It's good. That is good shit, man. It is something you could not be made today at all, ever, in a million years. And as years go on, I start to wonder, should I really be sharing this anymore? Yeah. I find it hysterical, but it's people aren't gonna understand the world of 1992 or 1982 or 83 or whenever the crap that came out.
Yeah, Stan Lathan was the director. He is the father of Sanaya Lathan, if Sanaya Lathan, if anybody knows. But Ray Dong Chong, who was in one of my favorite 80s movies ever, Commando, was in that movie. She was the star of the movie.
Oh yeah, so Commando, that was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes.
That was one of his great classic 80s action films.
Yes. It set the line for what an action movie trope was.
It really did, now that I think about it.
Yeah, had him killing everybody. But, Dave, this is a wrestling show.
Yeah, we
are. I was like, we can talk about this stuff anytime, but we're now 10 minutes in. We should probably talk about some wrestling. Go and hit them with the ad read, sir.
You probably should. But, so I just want to, folks, ladies and gentlemen, are you tired of the same old pro wrestling? I know I am. It gets boring after a while. That's why you need to check out what is it called again? Powerslam.tv. I used to know this, and now I screwed it up. All right. Powerslam.tv, where you can get over 4,000 hours. 4,000. Can you imagine trying to watch that all at once? 4,000 hours of content from over 110 of your favorite wrestling brands and promotions from around the globe. That's worldwide, baby. That's all sorts of crazy stuff. You're sick of the one style, you can check out another style. It's all over the place. So, you know what? You go to powerslam.tv, you sign up, you use the code SocialSuplex, and guess what? Hold it. You know what? You're going to get a month free. I shit you not. 1 month free on us. Social Suplex. Use that code at checkout. Good times, baby.
There you go, sir. I just did a quick calculation. I watch 494 hours of scheduled TV wrestling every year.
Oh my God.
So that's not including when R.I.P. I want to R.I.P. Howard Finkel. He passed away this week. I went back and watched Survivor Series 2011 with CM Punk and Alberto Del Rio, because CM Punk, it was in MSG, and CM Punk's personal ring announcer was Howard Finkel, and that was probably one of the last times he announced someone to the ring, and I went and watched that. So,
I watched that clip. That was spread around, I think, what was it, the WWE on Fox Twitter account?
Yeah, I watched the show, though.
Oh, that's cool. And, I got to say, I don't follow, the WWE main Twitter account, but that WWE on Fox Twitter account, whoever runs that, they know how to run a Twitter account. That crap is great.
Yeah, maybe Seth Rollins should slide them some money.
Oh my God, yes. Can you? There should be a segment. Who is worst at Twitter for wrestlers? And Seth Rollins very well might win most weeks.
Yes.
I mean, when you get owned by bless his heart, who is not good on Twitter, Will Ospreay, you know you suck at Twitter.
Yes. And just make sure you are. Before we start again, we're gonna make sure you're downloading this show on Google or Apple Podcasts. Please leave ratings and reviews. And then please support us by following at AT Elite Pod, at Social Suplex, at Phoenix AEW, and at All Elite Tiffany on Twitter. Go ahead and hit them up with your Twitter, Dave.
That is at Oklahoma Lefty.
Yes.
That's Lefty with a Y.
Yeah, so, that way we don't have to do it at the end of the show. You're going to get it at the end of the show probably anyway. But we got two. I usually do big news of the week when it comes to AEW, and there were two big pieces of news that came out this week. One, definitely AEW related. Two, the second one, which we got our list and stuff, could be AEW related. So we're going to talk about the first one. Double or Nothing in Vegas postponed into 2021 because of the Rona, a.k.a. coronavirus or COVID-19. They instead of just canceling the show, they just postponed it to Memorial Day weekend next year. If you bought tickets, you can either just have the tickets and let them roll over to next year, which is what I'm doing, or you could get a refund. It was funny. It clearly said that. And the first comment was, why aren't they just giving refunds?
Because people don't read, man. Yeah. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, and
people don't read signs, nothing.
Yeah, I guess they're just like, they should force refunds on us, even though people like me, that's where my money was gonna go anyway. Now I don't have to worry about buying the ticket next year. To me, they made my life simpler.
Yeah, how was that? So okay, you're gonna keep the same seat, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
So as people get refunds, those seats will be opened up for sale later?
Yes, I'm guessing.
Okay.
They'll just open those up later.
That could become. I'm sure there's an automated way that works, and the ticket mastering whoever systems that do this already understand how that works. But when you start to think about that, I'm like, wow, that's complicated. That could get really confusing. Thank God for computers, man.
I'm just saying, don't ask for a refund. The money's already gone. Just wait till next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the guy's like, I could be dead by next year. I'm like, you could be dead tomorrow. I mean, I'm not trying to be an ass, but seriously. And
that is something I love to say. A quick little anecdote about that, if I may. I don't like guaranteeing things because, just like you said, you could be dead tomorrow. And a quick funny story. I used to work at a place, did technical support for DirecTV. And one Saturday, there was an OU football game about to come on the ESPN or whatever. And the previous game that was playing was blacked out in Oklahoma. Don't ask me to explain it. It sucks. It's a pain in the butt. I get this call from this very angry old man who is a huge Oklahoma Sooners fan, and he's losing his mind. Just losing his mind. And I'm like, dude, as soon as the OU game starts, your TV will come back on. It will be fine. He's like, are you going to guarantee that? It's like, and my response was, well, I wouldn't bet my life on it. And he's like, what'd you say? I wouldn't bet my life on it. I can't guarantee that I'm not going to walk out of this building right now and get hit by a bus. And needless to say, ask for a supervisor. But you're right. You don't know if you're going to be alive tomorrow or not. That's why you live every day as elite as possible, using your catchphrase. So you do your best. And yeah, but yeah, you're right. I mean, if I was you, if I had the money to do this, I would just hold on to my ticket. The problem then becomes, okay, airline tickets, hotels. Oh God.
Well, this is what I come to. You obviously had the money to do it because you were going to the event this year.
Right.
The money's already gone.
Now, if you're someone who unfortunately, say, has lost his or her job.
Yeah, go ahead and get the refund.
Yeah, get your money back. But apparently they're going to just go ahead and continue to do Double or Nothing as a pay-per-view, just an empty arena show. What are your thoughts on that? Them continuing to do the show?
I am not a fan of empty arena wrestling. Just in general, not a fan. I love wrestling. I watch it. I haven't missed an episode of any of the shows, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW. Still keep my same schedule. Just not a fan. It's like the highest level of empty arena match could probably reach is like 4 stars for me. Just because it's a live spectator sport. You know what I mean? It's just like the energy. We're going to talk about in some of the matches this week. And it's just like you're missing that energy, especially that's what AEW's known for, is their crowd. That is the one thing when I came back to AEW, I was like, good Lord, I missed a really pumped up crowd. Just to point this out to something else I was watching 2011 Survivor Series. CM Punk hadn't even came out. His music hadn't started. CM Punk. This is like at the height of it. I mean, he didn't even need entrance music because they were already chanting his name, and then his music hits and they went crazy, and it's just like, all I can think is no one gets that pop anymore. No one. No one has that type of excitement and energy. And in the WWE is what I was meaning. And it's like AEW had brought that back, when Cody, all the lights and stuff go on, and Cody starts lifting from the ground, and then his music hits, and then the crowd gets into it. Or the greatest moment in live wrestling sports, I think, the Jericho sing-along. It's like, oh my God, when you're in that arena, it's electric. When you're at home, it's just like, God, you can't get 20 people to do the same thing ever, but you got thousands of people singing every word to all right song.
So may I give a probably unpopular opinion on this show?
Yeah.
I hate that song. That song sucks. I hate his band. I think his band is terrible. I mean, they play their music well. It's just not... Okay, let me rephrase. They are a functional band. They're competent at what they do. It's not for me. I hear his music, and I'm like, oh my God, this man wants to be Bon Jovi circa 1987. It is not Slippery When Wet Season anymore. It's just kind of sad. And again, it's not for me. And if you love it, that is fantastic. More power to you.
Yeah,
I just hear that song, I'm like, this is awful.
Tiffany will stab you with your positivity for saying that she loves Fozzy, she loves that band, and some people love 80s music, and me, I think it's fine. I can't get it out of my head. Like it's the ultimate earworm song because I've heard it so much and people singing along. I know the words to the song, and I have never just listened to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's not that I don't like 80s music. It's not even that I don't like 80s hair metal. I love the band Poison. I think the stuff they did in the mid to late 80s was fantastic. It's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine. But I just hear that and I'm like, eh.
Yeah. Let me let y'all know, if you haven't got this, Dave is the ultimate music aficionado. So, he can do this all day. So I probably shouldn't have brought up music because
No, but I'm sure I suspect that is a phenomenal thing to be part of, to be in that crowd, to feel that energy, to hear people singing along. I bet that's an amazing thing to go through.
I think it's the best thing in wrestling, and I go to all the different companies' wrestling shows, but I don't think anything matches that. Becky Lynch last year with when everybody doing that, closest thing to it, I would have to go all the way back to the Bray Wyatt singing The Whole World in His Hands at WrestleMania 30. That was it. But yeah, that energy.
What about when Nakamura was in NXT?
Oh, yeah, that was fucking amazing. Yeah, that was amazing.
And about the biggest pop I think you get in any WWE related anything is probably the Undisputed Era.
Yeah. boom. I even say that when Adam Cole says boom, you do the hand gesture and say boom, or you just hold.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
now,
which is a great thing. Keeping him away from empty arenas is freaking brilliant, because that would go over like a wet fart in church with no crowd responding. Yeah. So please keep his ass home.
Yeah. So So it's gonna happen. Double Up is gonna happen May 29th, 2021. So I'm just throwing that out there. You get the refund within 30 days if you choose to get a refund. I just wanted to let everybody just finish that part. MGM Grand, it'll still be all there, all the same. It's just pushed back a year.
Yeah, and it was the right thing to do. I mean let's be realistic. Nothing's going to open up this year.
No, they shut down Vegas through June 1st. That's why they had to announce it. I mean, Southwest sent me an email saying your flight's been canceled. You still have the credit. Vegas is shut down. You can't come there. You can't go there.
Yeah, it was the right thing to do. People just stay the hell home.
Yeah, this is not a news site, but I read something on CNN.com that they have tested the virus against high heat and humidity, and apparently it dies in high heat and humidity. So hopefully we have a summer. Maybe.
That would be nice. I'm just setting the expectation of nothing's happening until next year at the earliest. Yeah, so that way, if stuff opens up in September, I'm like, woohoo, happy day.
That's not how this show works. We are the Proclivity for Positivity. So we're hitting up July 1st, baby. Come on.
I hope you're right.
No, because
poor Floyd's having to work extra hard being positive today because he's got my dour ass on here.
No, see, my birthday's June 10th. So I would love to be out of here by then. My anniversary's July 18th. I would love to be out of here by then. And then most importantly, well, I can't say most importantly, but important to me is that Wrestle Kingdom, the Wrestle Dynasty show, and the SummerSlam are on August 22nd and 23rd in New York and Boston. I'm hoping that is my next wrestling trip.
That would be cool if that happens. It'll be a miracle, I think, if that happens. Just thinking realistically. But yeah, and don't let Crystal hear that going to Wrestle Kingdom USA is the most important thing to you in the next 6 months. Just
let me make this clear. She knows who she married.
Yeah, she knew what she got herself into.
Yeah, exactly. This is the reason I will tell anyone. I don't want you to hear weird things, but the reason I love my wife, more than anything, is I finally found a person that completely accepts me for who I am and all the craziness that entails.
Yeah, and for anyone out there who has met Floyd, because I know a bunch of the people listening to the show do know the Floydster, Crystal is awesome. If you ever get a chance to meet Crystal, she is just top-notch, good people. And I could not imagine a better fit for a life partner for Floyd than Crystal. So So y'all two done good.
Yeah, let's say we both have weird intricacies that other people hated, but we're both fine with. So my wife loves to sleep, and that generally would annoy me, but hey, I can let it go because I love her.
There you go.
Second big piece of news is on April 15th, mere hours before Dynamite, WWE again tried to steal AEW shine, but this way they did it in a horrible way. They released a bunch of people on there, the thing about these releases, some were amicable, some were people that wanted to be released from WWE, had been asking for their release. WWE had been saying no, and they said, hey, you know what? You can go. Some of these were not so amicable, and some of these were furloughs. So it just is what it is. Why are you reporting about WWE releases on AEW? Well, with any wrestler in the company, especially with a new wrestling company, as soon as a bunch of people are released, people start asking, does AEW want these people? So I am going to go down the list fairly quickly, and me and Dave are gonna give our opinions on whether we want these people in AEW. The first two I'm gonna combine two because a couple of them are tag teams, so I'm gonna.
But real quick though, you can't ignore a story like this. This is one of the biggest stories in wrestling history. This was a bloodletting, and it was that afternoon because it was just one after another, and I guess they update their website instead of waiting until everyone is called and then putting out one post that says, "Here, this is it." No, they're like, they call somebody, that person answered, posted on the website, call somebody else. And apparently, based on stories from people who've worked there, there's literally people sitting in an office that do the website, and they hear someone scream down the hall, okay, Rusev's been cut, update the website. Kurt Angle's been cut, update the website. Can you imagine how creepy that must be? What weird-ass atmosphere? Oh. But yes, so start. First two names.
All right, first two names. First name on the list is Kurt Hawkins, but if you're going to do Kurt Hawkins, you got to do his tag team partner. So we're going to talk about Kurt Hawkins and Mr. Zack Ryder. Kurt Hawkins, I always forget his real name, but
Brian Myers.
And Zack Ryder's is Matt Cardona. So, do you want either one of these people or both of these people in AEW?
I mean, they would be a decent jobber team. I mean, they're both decent workers, but it's at the highest level either of those guys could ever reach in AEW or anywhere is basically where Shawn Spears is now. So mid-card, upper mid-card, they're never going higher. And it would now, if AEW could take those two, completely wash the stink off of them and turn them into stars, then they can do anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's the reality. They'll probably just end up doing their YouTube channel about action figures and go on to some other line of work. I mean, Zack Ryder's dating Chelsea Green, so he's probably got a hook up there with some money. And
he's also worked for the WWE for 15 years. So
yeah, hopefully he's well off.
Yes. So Kurt Hawkins, I'm gonna say he's got wrestling school. He's gonna run his wrestling school. Yeah. I am going to offer a different opinion than everyone else on Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder is one of Cody's best friends. Cody's friends gets jobs. Just period. So yeah. I think it's almost 100% guaranteed that Zack Ryder will be there in some way. I also heard the fact that, Zack Ryder's washed. Zack Ryder's the blah this. Let me tell you. Zack Ryder was the Young Bucks before the Young Bucks. He got over on the internet with the YouTube channel. The WWE didn't like that. They buried him, but he stayed employed this whole time. Right? So, when you talk about someone who has a story that relates to the AEW fan base, Zack Ryder. You want to talk about somebody who has clips and stuff that he owns that they could use on the show to help build his story? Zack Ryder. He has a look. The dude is put together. But yeah.
He's a good looking dude.
Yeah. And it's like, if you wanted to bring him in and slowly over a year build his character back up. I'm not talking about put him in the main event immediately. Probably have him come in, lose a match, win a match, but slowly build him up. Almost like he's an AEW original because he'll have a different name. Change his look. He does have to change his look. Change his gear, his music, all that stuff. He has to reinvent himself. And then they present him differently as a whole different character. In a year or two, he could be a viable character. If he wants to stay himself and does things, lower mid-carder that loses all his big matches.
I agree 100%.
But yes, I think they could reinvent Matt. I think they could reinvent him. But it depends on how hungry he is.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, he never could work. I'm like, when did he give a chance?
Yeah, were we ever really seen did we see what this guy could do?
No, we never saw what he could do. He was
Yeah.
always pushed down and buried and literally got through off of a stage in a wheelchair on concrete in one take. So it happened. There was no crash.
At what point do you go, yeah, I'm okay with that? Yeah, toss me down some steps. I'm thinking, go F yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
There was no protecting yourself. It just hurt.
He could have died.
Yeah. So it's like, and it's like the Cody hookup. His friends get jobs.
Oh, yeah, because Cody wrote a hugely long Instagram post about him.
Exactly. And it's like, when I tell everybody, it's like, well, he's going to get signed. And they're like, why? And they were like angry with me, like I was saying I want them to sign him, which I do. I've always been a Zack Ryder fan. When he was the first YouTube show I ever watched was his show. I had at least 5 Zack Ryder shirts at the height of his popularity. With the head and the hair, woo, 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 you know it. I love Zack Ryder. I have no problem admitting that. Again, they have to start running shows again. And whenever you sign someone new and sign someone established, someone gets pushed down. So I think they got to be very, very careful on who they sign and what they do with them. Because you do not want to alienate your fan base who has loved these new characters that you've built.
Agreed. And you also don't want to have the same situation that TNA had where you sign a mid-carder or low mid-carder from WWE and immediately push them to the moon, and instantly make them world champion. No, don't do that.
Yeah. Well, like they did with Jon Moxley?
Well, Jon Moxley was a headliner. Jon Moxley was a world champion.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just saying, he was undefeated, and they immediately pushed him to the moon. So.
Right, no, well, that's like, no, that's a whole other thing. I'm talking and I don't mean to disparage the guy, but you've got, when you compare,
jobbers,
you've got like a Christian who got to a certain point, but he was never at the level of Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
So when you bring in, Jon Moxley, yes, you push that, you give that man the rocket pack because he's already an established main eventer for years. You bring in a guy who is, hasn't even been on main event for who knows how long. You've got to start over. You have to fix that. That is a project. That's a fixer-upper.
We didn't mean to take that long on 2 names, so we're just
sorry about that.
Go a little quicker through the list. Next one got to be Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. I say you bring them in for a big shows, a couple TVs maybe. They're an established tag team that people know. They got the Bullet Club ties, so the fan base knows it. I think you can use them sparingly. They would be part-timers at best.
Yeah, I think they're going back to New Japan, honestly.
Well, I mean, of course, because Tony Khan is so nice, he allows his people to work in New Japan and AEW.
Yeah, they would be, you're right, part-timers at best.
Best, yeah. I would bring them in maybe if you're going to any of your big 4 pay-per-views, you just want them, bring them in for a blood feud, a punch, slug it out match with someone. Maybe bring them in with Lucha Bros or Proud and Powerful and just beat the shit out of each other, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, but you could give Carl Anderson a singles run because he's really stinking good.
Yeah, he is really good. He is. Then we got Lio Rush.
Lio Rush is so stupidly talented in the ring. He would do really well wherever he goes. I think he's probably going to go and work on his music career. But really, when I heard his name, my first thought was, I want to see him in Best of Super Juniors.
I thought I had that thought too, and I think he would do better in somewhere like New Japan that actually has a juniors division instead of AEW. But they need some color, as in black people. No, I don't mean. I know they have Hispanic people. Don't get me wrong. They need black people, and they need to feature them. So, Lio Rush. Definitely.
All right.
He's super
Yeah.
talented. He's super
He is.
talented, and it's like it's not like I'm just saying just because he's black. He's a great wrestler. He's an amazing wrestler, and so that and you know what helps a music career, being on national TV every week.
That is true.
So I'm just saying, even if he doesn't, his heart isn't in wrestling anymore, just to stay relevant and stay on TV. You only have to work. They don't do house shows there. So it's a lighter schedule,
Yeah,
maybe?
it's one day a week, basically.
Yeah, travel day or whatever. But yeah, and it's like they're based in Florida already, like where you live. It's like it seems to make a lot of sense for Leo Rush.
Yeah.
Then Drake Maverick.
Oh, his was heart-wrenching. That poor video. Man.
God, I don't.
Ugh.
You know what? Unpopular opinion. I know this is the positive show. I felt nothing at all. I was like, whatever.
Yeah, but see, this is what people who listen to this show might not know, because you are so positive on this show. You also have a dark streak of just looking at things in very stark reality and going, yeah, well, whatever.
Yeah, I was like, with Drake Maverick, I'm like, dude, you were funny as the 24/7 thing. I wouldn't have cut you if I was WWE, because you know what? When he comes, he's a utility. Like you do know a little bit about baseball players, right?
Yeah.
You have that utility guy that can play shortstop, second base, everywhere. He can bat anywhere That's what Drake Maverick was. He could wrestle. He was good on the mic. He was great as an authority figure. Even the thing if the authors of pain didn't keep getting hurt, he was fine managing them. He was too good at too many things for you to get rid of. I think someone like ROH, Impact, where he came from, great having him. I don't think he really fits in AEW because they don't have a lot of off-screen characters.
Right.
Now, if they wanted to bring him in as a manager, I think that would work. A youthful manager, because most of their managers are former wrestlers that are a little old, that would work. But if they had some kind of on-screen authority figure, he would be perfect at it because he was perfect in 205 Live. But I don't really think he fits in AEW.
I don't. The only way I think he would fit is if he came in as the manager of another person on this list. Which do we want to go ahead and just jump right down to Ethan Carter III?
Yeah, EC3. Yeah.
So when I think about EC3 and in AEW, my first thought is they already have EC3. It's MJF.
I completely agree with that statement. I think EC3 perfect for NWA. Perfect, because he is someone that can get himself over on the mic, and the wrestling are little 7-minute matches. The fact that he's not the best in-ring worker, you can kind of hide that there.
Yep. So I would, and I hadn't even thought of the NWA, but yeah, I say EC3 and Rockstar Spud need to head over to. They need to call Billy Corgan and say, hey, when this all shakes out, can we have a job?
Yeah. Eric Young, another NWA guy. I don't see him as a fit in AEW.
No. I mean, he's probably going to hit NWA or maybe Impact. He might go back to Impact.
If you wanted to bring him in as like an underling in like the Dark Order, because he's played dark characters before, that would work. But no.
I think he was an underratedly good world champion in TNA. Uh-huh. So I suspect he'll be back in Impact.
All right. Then we got Heath Slater, the one-man rock band.
Oh, poor Heath. No, he's not. I don't know where he goes, but he's not for AEW.
He's a very entertaining person.
Oh.
Very entertaining. I love Heath Slater. He is the Brooklyn Brawler. You know what I mean? If you push him anywhere, your company's going to look second rate as soon as you push him. And
if he came in as a jobber.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Does he still want to job? He's one of those people. Again, he would have to change his look. Change his in-ring style, and take a year or two to establish himself as a wrestler, and then maybe AEW would sign him.
Right. And at this point, he's an older dude. He's been doing this for a long time. Does he want to do all that?
He cut a pretty good on his goodbye message, and he's like, he's going to get in shape. And he's like, he said, this isn't the end. This is the intermission. So he sounds like he continues to wrestle.
Well, I hope so. I hated him the first time I ever saw him when 3MB was still around. But then the whole I Got Kids thing was just hysterical. And he needs to make I Got Kids t-shirts and have that shit on Pro Wrestling Tees like yesterday.
He got a shirt that says I got fired on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Dude, I might actually have to buy that. That's awesome.
Yeah, he can't say I got kids because he already had that shirt in WWE.
Yeah, but I mean, a phrase like I got kids, you can't copyright I got kids.
I don't know. I guess it would be too close to his character. I don't know. I don't know law. It just seems like you can't do it, but maybe you can.
Maybe.
It's Kurt Angle, but he's a retired wrestler, so the only thing... Now, the AEW does this thing called the Championship Committee, and they talk about it all the time. Kurt Angle might be a good face for your Championship Committee.
Agreed. That would work really well. Otherwise, he doesn't need the work.
Yeah. No. And seriously, you bring him in 4 times a year to announce a big ass title match. He's what I'm saying. He's not going to be a permanent character. You bring him in a few times a year to announce a title match. When you're doing your signings and stuff, you're like, oh man, Kurt Angle's going to be one of our lead people signing. That all works for him. But yeah, he's not a wrestler anymore.
Agreed.
Aiden English, and I'll combine him with someone else.
Who's the someone else?
Rusev, because he's saying it's Rusev Day.
Rusev Day.
Now it's gonna have to be Miroslav Day.
No, he needs to come up with he's gonna have to have something easier to say for white people, because that Americans ain't gonna say no Miroslav. No,
I think
that shit ain't
Miro.
working.
I know he shortens it to Miro, but he'll come up.
Okay,
with
then that would work.
He's interested.
So I agree with what they said on the Voices of Wrestling flagship this week. Rusev is he will only land in one of 2 places, AEW or New Japan Pro Wrestling, because I don't think he would do anything below their levels. And I mean, if he brought Aiden English with him, that would be awesome to have him as his little mic piece singing along. But I mean, I think Rusev is money anywhere, and the fact that he wasn't in WWE is just another damnation on the failures of Vince McMahon, and because he's fucking incredible. How do you not make money with this guy? So, I mean, if I was Tony Khan or Cody or whoever the hell, I would have called him already.
Rusev, yes. Aiden English, only as his sidekick. Aiden English, I don't know what he's gonna do, but he's tall. He has a good voice, so I liked him on the announce team. I guess he might not. I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard whether his was mutual or not, because if it wasn't, it would probably mean he wants to wrestle again. If it was, if it was mutual, then it probably means he wants to wrestle again. If it wasn't, I don't know why it wouldn't be. He was perfectly fine as an announcer.
Oh yeah, and in fact, if he does not pair up with Rusev and go, I say he should become Io Riccoboni's permanent partner at the broadcast booth for Ring of Honor.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Then we have Mike Chioda. Is AEW in the looking for a new referee?
I mean, he would be, if you want to talk about a referee with more experience than possibly any referee on the planet next to Earl Hebner, then he would be perfect. I'm wondering if he was one of the people who was like, yeah, I'll go.
Yeah, because you got 31 years of that salary. He has to be decent on money.
Yeah. And he might have been, since he's the only ref, who knows, maybe he was making a whole lot more than everyone else. But, I mean, Little Nate, you think he's got to be making a good paycheck, because he's been there a long-ass time, too.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't Little Nate, I mean, that would actually make me really sad if Little H was no longer calling matches. But man, Drake Wirtz, baby, keep him around. I like the Drake Wirtz. But yeah, I think Mike Chioda, I think it would be smart to bring him in. Otherwise, he's going to probably do a new career.
Sarah Logan, they literally buried her Monday night by having Shayna just stomp on her arm, and then she cried, and they stopped the match. I mean, that's the last image of Sarah Logan in WWE.
Yeah, so she was Crazy Mary, correct?
Yeah, Crazy Mary Dobson. Yeah.
Yeah, the only stuff I know about her is from her NXT and WWE run. So I don't know if she's any good. Apparently, she worked in Japan. I mean, as a utility player, maybe, or a jobber, maybe. I don't. Maybe she's really. I don't know. I don't know on this one. There is a woman on this list who I think is a must for AEW, but it's not Sarah Logan.
All right. Yeah, she's one of those people. Their women's roster is now developing, and I think they had just got to a place where they could start really pushing it and making new characters and making new people, and then this happened, so they had to like back that all the way up. So because they were really trying to get B over, and she was going to be Nyla's first opponent, and then they were building up Kakira Shida. And then, of course, Britt Baker's doing an amazing job on her own. So I think that the women's division was coming into their own. So if Sarah could find a place to assist, but she's not somebody I would have pushed. So she would have been a mid to lower level in the women's division. So in that case, I would probably say no. But if she goes back out to Shimmer and Shine or wherever these places are, after she goes to Shimmer or Shine and kind of maybe rebuilds herself, maybe have some good matches, great. I would probably suggest Impact because their women's division is strong, and she could try to find a place there.
Yeah, and she looks like she would fit in the Impact roster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and, since I mentioned the woman who I do think AEW needs to sign, let's go ahead and just jump to her, if that's okay. And that is Deonna Purrazzo. Yeah. I think she's a must. That she needs to have Cody should have called her Brandy. Needs to call her right now and say, hey, when this all stops being crazy, we want to bring you in.
She was booked for All In, and then she signed with the WWE, so she was not in that match anymore. So they obviously know who she is. She was with Marty at that time, and I don't think they're together anymore. That's just internet speculation. They might be happy or whatever. I don't know. But I don't think they're together anymore. So I think, that's a phone call I would make. She's a name people recognize. I think she fits into the AEW, what the AEW fan base is looking for.
Exactly. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. And then we have Rowan. Literally, if they wanted to bring him in as as Brody Lee's sidekick, that would be cool. There's a familiarity in it. Mr. Brody Lee can be like, we work together. This is the only man, I truly can trust or something like that. They could definitely use him. But, as a big guy that can eat pins.
Yeah, agreed. The only reason he would come in as Brody Lee's henchman, part of the Dark Order, and maybe even a situation where he comes in and eventually he and Brody Lee either turn on the Super Smash Brothers or the Super Smash Brothers turn on them at some point, and you have a nice tag team feud at that point. I'm booking way down the road, but yeah, if it's just him being Rowan by himself, now get the F out of here.
Yeah, a funny story about Rowan that Jericho told on his podcast, that one time the church asked him to, form a skit at the church, and they say, well, we got this guy, he's in the business, and he's gonna play the devil, and you're gonna be like Jesus or God, and you're gonna take him out. And the person was Rowan. Rowan and Jericho go to the same church, so that's a thing. And it was just a funny story about Rowan.
That's funny. That's awesome.
Yeah. Then Primo and Epico Cologne. I'm just gonna say absolutely not. I mean, I guess if AEW does a match in Puerto Rico, maybe.
Yeah, they're gonna probably just stay in Puerto Rico and work the Puerto Rican stuff. Who knows? Maybe they show up in CMLL or AAA. I mean, they're really good. They're shockingly good. So they would, if you completely change their image and everything and let them actually wrestle, they would have some kick-ass matches in that tag team division in AEW. But no, let them go hang out in Puerto Rico. That's where what they've been doing for years anyway.
Maria and Mike Kanellis. I'm going to say no. They are now, even though they were there first, they're kind of like a poor man's Cody and Brandy. And so I don't want two husband-wife acts in the same company. No.
Yeah, no, I firmly believe they need to go back to Ring of Honor, and Mike Bennett needs to hook back up with the Kingdom, because I love Mike Bennett and Matt Taven as a tag team. I think they are fantastic.
All right, perfect. And I say no way to Jose. No way to Jose. No way to Jose.
Yeah,
hey!
Apparently Joe Lanza says he's really freaking good, and he had a long career on the Indies. I don't know. I mean, I don't see him as a fit. He could go somewhere else. Maybe if he does a nice run in the Indies and washes the stink of No Way Jose off, he would be a good addition to New Japan. But yeah, I don't think he would fit in AEW.
And that was
Let's
it.
see. Well, no, there's one other, but I don't know who the hell this person is. Alexander Jaksic.
Yeah, there were some NXT people, and there was only one name I was gonna ask yes or no.
Okay.
Tayara Conti. I heard she had got released.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Snap. Yeah, I would if I was AEW, I would take her.
I would snap her up. I thought she was really good, and she had this energy about her.
Oh, yeah, I loved her, especially once she had her gimmick where she would hold her black belt like it was a title.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, so I thought that was good. And that is it for the list of people. That's the list. You've heard who we thought. My number one guy, to me, if you ask me one guy, if I only got one guy at that list, for me, it would be Rusev.
Yeah, if I had to, if I was going to list them, number one would be Rusev, number two would be Lio Rush, number three would be Deonna Purrazzo.
Yeah, okay. Number one, Rusev. Two, Lio Rush. Three, Deonna Purrazzo. It was the exact same list. That was very unexciting for y'all, I know, right? That was amazing audio right there.
Yeah, it was, baby.
So after our riveting dual list, where you just basically got to hear us agree with each other, we now
great minds think alike, Floyd. Man, that's what this is. We are great minds.
Yes, so we now get to move on to a little bit more stuff we might disagree on. So after the big news of the week, BTE had a big 3-part episode 199. They released episode 1 on Monday, episode 2 on Tuesday, episode 3 on Wednesday. I just had Dave watch episode 2 and 3 because in 1, it was Matt Hardy started off the show by telling you the rules of a jobber match. You should all go watch that. I could go through it, but I'm not going to say it as funny as he does. But the hilarious part is like, if you only get one offensive move, and if you're a tag team, you get one combo move. And then they said, and the finish had to be one of the famous moves by these teams. One was the Legion of Doom, the other was the Steiner Brothers, and for some reason the APA was in there. So I just thought that was funny. So
APA was never ever sniffed the level of the Road Warriors or the Steiner Brothers.
BTE, very tongue in cheek, sir. Very tongue in cheek.
That is true. And I started watching the first episode before he told me not to, and I was getting into the rules of a jobber match. And I was chuckling.
Yes, it was very funny. Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels, they beat that local California team that the Young Bucks wrestled last week, and they did it with the Doomsday device, which was awesome. Then Scorpio Sky beat both Peter Avalon and Brandon Cutler, and he said, "What a bunch of losers." So I'm guessing it's building up. I'm gonna guess at Double or Nothing, maybe on the pre-show, it's gonna be Peter Avalon versus Brandon Cutler. So someone has to win.
Now, okay, so forgive me because I'm not as well versed in AEW, especially the very lower card. Brandon Cutler is the bald guy who was the cameraman during the Battle Royal in episode 2. Is that correct?
He is. That is correct.
Okay.
He is a longtime friend of the Young Bucks.
Okay. So yeah, episode. Okay, so let me preface everything I'm about to say. I have never, up to this point, enjoyed being the Elite. I never found it funny. I never found it enjoyable. It was just a thing, and I recognized that, hey, this is just not for me. I'm either too old, or I'm not part of this culture, or something. It's just not for me. That having been said, I thoroughly enjoyed both of these. This, of course, you start out the show with freaking Tony Schiavone on a call with Britt Baker, and then you get some, TV psychic on there. That shit was incredible. Oh my God, I laughed. And then he's got the WCW money line. Okay, but admittedly, I'm a gigantic Tony Schiavone mark. I think Tony Schiavone is the greatest commentator in pro wrestling history, at least in my lifetime. I think he is awesome. And I was always a WCW guy more than WWE. So yeah, Tony Schiavone is the shiz-nizzle. And so I loved this. This was great.
Did you just say shiz-nizzle?
I did.
I'm like, I don't think we can be friends anymore. No, just kidding. Yeah, this funny episode. Then we got the rules to the Under the Limit Battle Royal.
That was great.
Apparently, so one person enters every 60 seconds. Unless you are jobbers, then you can both enter 2 at a time. This is all setting up from the first episode where Nick and Matt's like, episode 200, you promised me. And it was like hinting at a match that Nick wanted. And in this one, they had the Battle Royal. I think Nick entered in last, cleared out the ring. He actually showed some dribbling skills with Scorpio Sky.
Oh, that was great.
Basketball, and gave him an old super kick. Nick Jackson got handles. I gotta say it. Nick Jackson, he got handles. But yeah, that was funny.
What does that mean?
He can dribble and control the basketball really well. As in, he can handle the basketball. Okay,
because for a minute I was like, he doesn't have love handles. He's not chubby.
No. He can play. He can dribble the basketball well.
So obviously, if it wasn't already enormously evident, I am white. So
yes. So
and not a basketball fan.
So Nick,
there's nothing wrong with basketball, but anyway.
Nick eliminates Matt, and he gets to pick the main event of BTE 200. Now, I can't tell you. There was never really wrestling on BTE until the last few episodes, so that might be another reason you enjoyed it. But when it comes down to it, it's going to be Nick versus Matt in the main event of BTE 200. Episode 3 was the build-up to BTE 200, where you got to see who everybody predicted was going to win. We got a very uncomfortable situation where Nick is recording Brandon Cutler, asking who he's thinks going to win. As you can know, Brandon is friends with both Nick and Matt, and they are both technically his bosses. So, so he's like, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. To me, that was the call of the week. The moment of the week was Brandon Cutler. Shout out to Brandon Cutler for not answering that question. That was genius.
Yeah, and then they both got mad at him, and yeah, this whole thing again. I might have to start watching Being the Elite. because I really, really enjoyed this. I mean, you had Kenny Omega almost poop his pants, and Colt Cabana keeping him out of the bathroom, but then throwing him some toilet paper, and Kenny was like, "Oh, this is I need to hold on to this. This is currency right now." It was a great Rona joke, and then just the whole thing. It was really funny. And then not only that, they had Marty Scurll was in there. Kip, no, Flip Gordon was there.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
He said, "What do I care? Those guys are dead to me." Yeah.
I loved that. Oh, that was incredible. So, Flip Gordon, you think he's eventually going to be in AEW?
Yeah, because AEW. I will tell anyone, if you can't go to WWE, the current place to go is AEW. It's live TV on TNT every week.
Yeah.
You are going to become more popular. Even if you're there as a jobber, you're going to be more popular. Your rate's going to be able to go up on indie wrestling. It's just, that's what, I mean, live TV is everything. National TV. Impact would be 3. ROH would be 4 to me.
Yeah, and I really like Flip Gordon. I think he's really good. So I think he would be a good addition to that roster.
Oh, no. I love Flip Gordon. I really love Flip Gordon. And I just think it's most of the character and what they can tell. That's what I think when I think about when it comes to bringing someone to AEW. I look at the wrestler and say, what story can they tell? That's what I try to tell. I mean, even if it's a mid-card story, lower-card story, I'm like, what story can they tell? And if your story is not unique in any way, I'll be like, don't bring them in.
Yep.
Just to use the example, No Way Jose. His story wouldn't be unique. He was somebody that played a comic character in WWE, didn't like it, and he wanted to show the world how serious he is. That's not unique. How many times has that happened over the last 3 or 4 years? It's not unique.
Oh, yeah.
You bring nothing to it.
I mean, hell, that's Cody's story, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, I mean, in essence. Hey, now that's the whole thing with Cody. They wanted to keep him. They was like, hey, you're going to be here for some years. We're just never going to book you past this point. You are where you're going to be. Jose wishes he still had a job.
Probably, yeah.
No, he did the video. I watched all the sad people videos.
Now, did the No Way Jose video make you sad at all,
None
or
of
were you
them
still
made
dead
me
inside?
sad.
No, made you sad.
None of them make me sad. People get fired every day. It happens. Shit.
Right.
I'm literally worked in call centers, and we literally watch someone get fired every day.
Yeah, that's brutal industry, folks. Don't go into it unless you have to.
Unfortunately, it made me numb to it. I'm just like, it's not that I'm not positive. I am positive he'll find another job. Life happens,
Positive he'll find another job. You are dead inside.
And when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's like, I've even said, it's like, The Biggest Loser and all those shows that pull at your heartstrings, When I first started watching them, they pulled at my heartstrings, but they did it so much, there is no longer a heartstring there. So I can watch those shows, and you tell me whatever story you want to, and I'll just go back to, drinking tea and watching something else. You know what I mean? It's just like, you plucked it too hard. It's just like, dude, oh, God, you know what did it to me? And I'm not disparaging the things that I'm talking about. I'm saying because they play on your emotions so much, I now have become numb to it. Connor's Cure, how much I had to hear that at WrestleMania 31, I think. Good Lord. It was every intermission, every commercial, bracelets, all that stuff, over and over and over again. The first 19,000 times I cried, and I was really sad. Then one point it stopped, and it's never going to turn on again.
Yeah, you have there's a lot of those kind of issue things that you just, because they overmarket them, you become numb to it. So,
yeah.
Yeah. And it makes sense. You stay in someplace long enough, you watch enough people get fired, you do and become numb to it.
I watched it every day, and the first 15, 20 times, man, I was sad. I was calling the people after, checking on them. Hey, man, you need some help with your bills, blah, blah, blah. About the 50th time, you're broke from helping so many people with their bills. Like, dude, hey man, I'll see you or see you around. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah. So then we have the AEW Dark from Tuesday, April 14th. It was a one-match Dark. It was Shawn Spears versus Billy Gunn. They did a decent job. Shawn Spears won.
So, do you think they should keep doing AEW Dark, or do you think they should just save all their matches for Dynamite for now?
If they recorded it for Dark, might as well keep playing it on Dark.
Sure, and I mean, if they're going to make Dark one match shows and they're not even, they're like 20 minutes long, then that's fine. Sometimes I wonder if you've got such a limited roster that you can work with because of the Rona.
Shawn Spears
wouldn't
is
you?
the MVP of Empty Arena Wrestling.
He is. We'll talk about him here in a second when we talk about Dynamite.
Every show, wrestling every week. I have no problem with Shawn. I love him. Every time I meet him, he is amazing. He is nice, but he's at a position that they have booked him at, and it's just like he's considered, undercard, mid-card, lower card act. You don't want to see that undercard, mid-card, lower card act every week, but you have no effing choice because they only have like a 15-man roster. I don't even think it's 15. I think it's like 10 that can actually work, like show up and work. So it's very
right,
small.
or at least did for that taping.
Yeah, they did not have
Hopefully for the next
lot of,
taping, though.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot of people. So there you go.
Yeah.
So Shawn Spears beats Billy Gunn with the C4.
Which is basically a running Death Valley driver.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I always wonder what the C4 stands for. So
Isn't it Dynamite?
Yeah, I mean, I know but I was figuring there might, 4 C's or something. I don't know. I was just wondering, hoping it was deeper. Then
you know what? You now got me curious. C4 or composition C4 is a common variety. Blah blah blah.
Plastic explosive. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that.
Yeah.
So, also known as PE4, plastic explosive number. There's no reason. I googled what does C4 stand for, and it doesn't really give me a good explanation. Just it's an explosive.
To be on the show, so I can ask him: is the C4? Does that mean anything else?
No, it's just a bomb. I'm dropping a bomb on you.
Yeah. All right. So, AEW Dynamite review, April 15, 2020. Now, I am going to preface this by this is the first AEW Dynamite I didn't like. Didn't like at all. I know, proclivity for positivity, put a spin on everything, but I'm not going to lie to you. Ever. And I didn't like this show.
Did you think it was boring?
Yes. Every week since this show has started, since October, I have watched every episode in full twice. Every episode.
Wow.
I did not want to, and I didn't on this one. This is the first one I didn't.
So I have not been watching Dynamite on a regular basis. I watched last week's, and I watched this week's because I knew it was going to be on the show. A couple of tricks of the Dave Brown trade. Because I'm not watching it live, I watched it in double speed. Even that having been said, some of these matches were too damn long.
Yeah.
But the best thing, so the things about this show that I did like, the opening with Jake Roberts, that little vignette was great.
And I love that it's like his early complaint I had about his promos that they seemed to be more about him than Lance Archer. This was about Lance. He actually put Lance over in this video, and I really, really enjoyed that.
Yes. I thought so then we had Lance Archer and Colt Cabana had a match. It was the first round match for the TNT title tournament. It was fine, but it was way too freaking long. I mean, Colt Cabana's good and you don't want to squash the guy, but he's not Lance Archer.
Because they're building to him. It looks like they're building to him and Kenny Omega. and you didn't want to make him seem like a bum.
True. The problem is with empty arena matches, no empty arena match should, at this point, ever go over 15 minutes. There needs to be a hard, fast rule, 15 minutes, because even if it's really good, it gets boring. And I haven't watched as much empty arena wrestling as Floyd has, but I even have, there are times I'm like, oh, okay, I can't do this. I'm watching everything on double time. Everything I watch is on double time because I can't. That having been said, I will say AEW does empty arena wrestling leaps and bounds better than WWE, including NXT, which is overall my favorite wrestling product of the last few years is NXT. But yeah, this is so much better than anything WWE has produced since the Rona has happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, this match was too long, and it was kind of boring in parts. There were a few good hope spots, but I mean, did anyone honestly think Lance Archer wasn't going to win?
No, not at all.
No.
The second match, or actually second segment, was Britt Baker talking about her being a role model and rules to being a role model. And her first rule is always like fight fair. And she talked about last week how Ashita was so threatened that she broke her nose and she used tactics, but Britt persevered and finished the match, so she felt like the real winner. This was my favorite part of the show.
Oh yeah, that was great.
I think this and the bubbly bunch that we'll get to later, I think, were the best parts of the show to me.
Yeah, no, you're I'd actually kind of forgotten about that, but that was really good, and I think transitioning Britt Baker into a heel has been a really good idea because she didn't quite work as a babyface when I saw her early on. But yeah, this was funny, and then the match she had with I'm assuming most of these people are just local jobbers or local talent. But the way that she beat her by pulling the move from American History X and making her bite the bottom rope and then stomping on the back of her head, I mean, that was brutal. So that was that
is the second time she has done that. She did that to Yuka Sakazaki, and she tried to do it to Hikaru Shida last week. It didn't work out. But, because she's a dentist, knocking people's teeth out is kind of what she does. And she's a role model. She is a role model. Yeah, I honestly, man, she was plain dry toast to me when she first started. I was like, there is nothing about her that sticks out. It was like, Britt Baker did nothing for me. She then went heel, and she is super, super entertaining. Yeah, so
yeah, great. She's great.
All right, then we had Britt Baker. She pinned Cassandra Golden. Then we got the Bubbly Bunch. Now, actually, a couple of things were happening during the commercial breaks. One, we were getting phone videos from people in the MMA and wrestling industry or fans of wrestling telling who they thought were going to win by Moxley and Hager. Now, let me tell you, Moxley and Hager, as far as the real sports big fight feel, I think everything about it was perfect. Ariel Helwani, you had the Big John, the referee guy, you had Hager's trainer, you had Ron Funches, you had all these people chiming in on wrestling. It gave this match such a big fight feel. I was so excited for this match. I'd heard on Meltzer that basically, Tony had called Meltzer and said, man, I think this match is going to be great and everyone's going to love it. We'll talk about how I felt about the match later. So then we get the Bubbly Bunch is what I was going to get into. And it was a video call from, or it's a phone call from Sammy, all the members of Inner Circle. Jake Hager said he's going to beat the shit out of John Moxley. Chris Jericho couldn't pour orange juice Apparently, that was some reference to Ozzy Osbourne, who couldn't pour orange juice or something. And and Santana, of course, rocking the Puerto Rico hat. I forgot the Inner Circle shirt and the Zuba pants. Oh my God, Santana, that was just so hilarious to me. And then
I'm sorry, which one is Santana and which one's Ortiz? Because I did not watch Impact, so I'm not familiar with.
No Afro is Santana. Afro is Ortiz.
Okay, I'm trying to remember the segment. Who was the one sitting down in the chair?
Yeah, like one had a Puerto Rico hat on, and that's Santana.
Okay.
You know how much I love them in Impact. You know how. Much
Oh yeah, So this segment was really funny. Yeah. I like this, and I'm someone who is, since I've traditionally not enjoyed BTE being the elite, I haven't been totally into the kind of comedy that is done on AEW related stuff. This was funny. I enjoyed this.
Yes, and then this led to Sammy G in a wrestling match. He is Sammy G is muy sexy. Did you get the part that he was making fun of the fact that he doesn't really speak Spanish?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he was talking that weird Spanglish. He said uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, 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 because he didn't know what came out. Cinco.
Really, man? He obviously didn't grow up watching Sesame Street, because I learned how to count to 10 in Spanish because of Sesame Street.
I learned how to count to 10 in Spanish because of Spanish 1. So there you go.
There you go.
No, but yeah, it was very funny. This leads to the next segment, which is Sammy G versus Suge D, a.k.a. Pineapple Pete. Tony Schiavone astutely points out that Pineapple Pete had got on Jericho's nerves, so he put Sammy G out there to beat him up. Sammy G finished the match with a running knee. And
so, I'm sorry to interrupt. Is Suge D, is he just a local jobber guy, or is he part of the AEW roster?
He's been a local jobber guy, but he was at this taping, so he was used a lot.
Okay. This is where I would like to point out in the show how much I loved the commentary. Generally speaking, if you listen to any wrestling podcasts, a general theme is that most commentary are dumpster fires. With the exception of a few things here and there, this combo of Tony Schiavone and Chris Jericho on commentary, when Chris Jericho retires from in-ring action, he needs to be on commentary. They together are freaking gold. I loved it love it this week. So much to the point in the main event when the commentary changed, it dramatically hurt the match. Because that is how great Tony Schiavone is, and Tony Schiavone and Chris Jericho together are gold. Let's keep that going as long as possible, please, and thank you.
Yes, so I want to be clear when it comes to commentating. I recognize good commentating. I generally ignore all other commentating. It's one of the things I've always been doing. It comes from watching real sports. I watch the game. I can ignore the commentators. It just doesn't bother me. So yeah, that when I became a part of, I will call the IWC a few years ago when I started doing the podcast and really started getting on that was the one thing that shocked me, how much people care about commentating.
Oh, it's super important. It is so important for the match. It is important for building characters. It is an essential part of television professional wrestling. And just like you mentioned that match with CM Punk and Howard Finkel when he came out to introduce him, and the entire time he was out there introducing CM Punk, Michael Cole and whoever else was there, I think JBL, the entire time they were shitting on Howard Finkel, probably because Vince was in their ear saying, make jokes about him being fat. He's fat. Ha ha ha. But no, commentary is super important.
But and that's the thing. This is what I talk about: pessimist, optimist, positive, and negative. You know what I heard? Booker T saying, "All I wanted when I came in was to hear Howard Finkel's name. That man's a legend. It was a dream come true when he introduced me." That's what I heard.
I heard that too.
I didn't hear the negative parts. I heard Booker T fawning over the guy.
Yeah, that is the only thing that didn't make that a complete burial of Finkel is the fact. I mean, you had on the one hand you had Cole just tearing into him.
At that time he was playing a heel.
Yeah, but Michael Cole is. If Vince McMahon's screaming in his ear, he stinks. He stinks.
Yeah, but I'm just saying at that time his play-by-play character was a heel. This was during the thing that eventually led to him wrestling Jerry the King Lawler. He was a heel at that time, so he was just playing along his character.
That's fair. Since I was watching it out of context, fine, that's fair. Booker T was great putting over the Fink, but no, commentary is super important. And when I'm watching wrestling, if the commentary is bad, it actively hurts what I'm watching.
Yeah, see. I watch, and like I said, when people tell me Michael Cole stinks, like I said, when I got in the IWC, I didn't even know what people were talking about. Michael Cole's Michael Cole. He was the guy that said stuff.
Yeah, the best I've ever heard Cole was on that Beast in the East special when calling that Finn Balor Kevin Owens main event match.
Yeah.
He was great in that, and that's because a psychopathic American Irishman wasn't screaming in his ear the entire time.
Yes. Now, Tony Schiavone was great, and him and Jericho have been great. I don't think it's been too much more. I actually like Excalibur, Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross team. I like when Taz is there. I think Taz is the best color guy out of all of them. JR and Tony aren't really color guys. And I think when Taz is on there, who's a color guy, he's supposed to be putting over the wrestlers and the moves. That's great. My team, if I was going to say, this is who I want to be the face of AEW, it would just be Excalibur and Taz to me.
And that makes sense. I remember, in fact, I think one of the early episodes of this show when I was on and the whole thing about JR came up, my argument was JR is a face of the past.
Right.
And I think Tony Schiavone doesn't bother me because, one, I love Tony Schiavone, and I'm a Tony Schiavone mark, and two, he hasn't been on TV for 15 years.
And Tony Schiavone is just a commentator. He's not trying to get himself over. He's just trying to tell the story. I think JR over, and it wasn't early, but during the Attitude Era, Jim Ross became a character. And everybody wants to hear that character. And now when you hear him, he's just being him. He's not playing good old JR anymore.
Can I say that I don't want to hear good old JR? I don't want to hear that character. JR is fine, but I've never been a gigantic JR fan.
Exactly, but you're going to find that with any commentating team. Any commentating team is going to be people that love you. It's going to be people that hate you. It's going to be people that, like, man, if he's not on the show, I don't want to watch it. There's going to be guys that, like, I mute the show and watch it. It does not matter who it is.
True. Now, I want to ask, does anyone out there truly love Byron Saxton?
I freaking love Byron Saxton.
I do too.
Yeah.
So you and I,
yeah,
we're team. Man, there was nothing better than NXT. Tom Phillips, Corey Graves, and Byron Saxton. Corey Graves ribbing Byron Saxton saying stupid Urkel shit, and Tom Phillips trying to just not laugh
because he was good
stuff.
Was a character. He knew his character and he played it well.
Yes. But we should probably move on. Kip Sabian and Chucky T.
It was a match.
Yep.
The funniest part of this match was the Orange Cassidy getting up, doing the girl thing, putting his finger in his mouth. He took off his jacket. Yeah, that was hilarious.
That was cute, yeah.
People don't get Orange Cassidy, I tell you, that dude can do. Because he's a sloth all the time, he only has to show emotion or do one or two things, and it makes you pop. It's just, it's one of the things. He does so little when he does something, it's amazing. Then you get the empty arena MVP, Sean Spears. That's what I'm going to call him forever. Empty arena MVP, Sean Spears, gets the win over Justin Thomas with a C4. He's back to his winning ways.
And they did it, they really were pushing that in commentary that he's now, he got a win over Billy Gunn at Dark. He's gotten this win. So I think they're trying to, I don't think they're ever going to push him as a main event kind of guy, but I think they're trying to keep him as a strong mid-card to upper mid-card guy because he needs to be a credible gatekeeper. So when you beat him, it's a big deal. I mean, that was his role in NXT. For a long time, Ty Dillinger was the gatekeeper of NXT. You were new, you went through Ty Dillinger, and you got a good match out of him, and Ty Dillinger made you look great. And I think if that's going to be the role for him in AEW, then there are a whole lot worse roles to have because no one looks at Sean Spears, I think, and sees future world champion.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
Yep.
Then the last one was the main event of the evening. Your reigning, defending, undisputed AEW World Champion Jon Moxley against Oklahoma's own, the Big Hurt, Jake Hager. Now, I always claim him as Oklahoma's own. After this match, not that excited to claim him. Let me tell you, as far as the work and the wrestling in this match, it was tough, it was stiff, it was all well executed, but man, was I bored.
This match, okay, remember, I'm watching this on double time, and I'm literally fast-forwarding through chunks of it because it was so GD boring. It was so boring. So would I ever want to get in a fight with Jake Hager? No, he would fucking kill me. Do I think if this was a shoot fight that Jon Moxley would have a chance in hell against Jake Hager? No. Jake Hager just needs to go do MMA. I mean, he's perfectly cast as Moxley's heavy. He's perfectly cast in that role. He is not a main eventer. He's not a... It's weird. He's not a charismatic wrestler. Last week, those segments where, they were interviewing him, and he's still got a weird thing with his voice. He's got a little lisp thing. So his voice is kind of weird. Nothing against lisps. Is just... He's almost got that Mike Tyson thing where you look at this superimposing guy, and then he opens his mouth, and you're like, whoa, that's not what I was expecting to hear. He's the same way with Hager. And I'm sure he's a nice dude.
Crazy
so don't get me
thing
wrong.
is he's a charismatic person. Whenever he's in the inner circle stuff or when he's with Jericho, he is fucking hilarious. It just doesn't translate to the ring.
Isn't that weird? It is like just on that Bubbly Bunch segment. He was fantastic. He was like, cover your ears, kids. He was great. So, but he gets in the ring and he's just so boring.
They shot a video on Twitter where his wife wasn't letting him in the house because he didn't win. That was hilarious. He's so good.
Okay, that's fantastic. So, okay. And the other thing, last week, as soon as they had his wife saying, we're winners, if he doesn't win, he doesn't get to come home kind of thing, I'm like, oh, well, that just tells you, I mean, A, no one in their right mind thought Jon Moxley was losing this match and losing his title. B, on top of that, you are firmly screaming, this man is going to lose when his wife tells you, we don't do losers. But yeah, it's such a weird conundrum. You put him in other things, he's charismatic. From what little shots I've seen of his MMA stuff, it looks like those matches are fairly entertaining.
Yeah, if he could take the energy of that one promo he cut after his MMA fight and just bring that to wrestling, oh my God, he'd be so over.
But it did not help that this was in front of no one, and it looks like that was filmed was that at Daly's Plaza or because that was filmed somewhere else?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was filmed about a week before most of the other stuff on the show.
Okay, yeah, it was so boring, but I mean, I think Hager is in a good position where he is. I think his role is. I think he's perfectly placed, and I think this is in a pro wrestling environment. Unless he somehow figures out how to take his natural charisma and transfer that to when he's in the ring. This is the best he's ever going to be. This is his perfect role, and just keep him as that, because he can come in and lay a beat down and look good doing it, especially with a bunch of other people. But please never again have this man challenge for your world title. Just don't.
He needs to, and you know me, I am, of course, because I am a person, I am a results-driven person. I'm not going to be like, oh, he's just boring. I think he could add about 4 or 5 power moves, like suplexes, like to his arsenal. Maybe Saito suplex a la Jay White, that I think would drive home the awesomeness of his character.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing, because even watching this match, he has not changed how he wrestles really very much at all since from when he was in WWE. Yeah. And he was boring as sin in WWE. Yeah. His finishing choke move, that's about the only new thing he has, and that's great. I like that. That looks like it'll, I mean, don't put me in that, please. No, thank you. But yeah, no, he really needs to adjust his wrestling style. Whereas, Cody, he did adjust his wrestling style. I mean, he's still not bell to bell one of the, a top elite worker or anything, but he adjusted when he left WWE, because he knew, okay, when I'm in Evolve, when I'm in Ring of Honor, when I'm in these other places, when I'm in New Japan, I can't do the same crap I was doing on Main Event for 10 years. I have to do something different. Jake Hager hasn't done that. And as much as he says, hey, Jack Swagger is dead, I'm sorry, when you get in between the ropes, all I see is Jack Swagger, especially when you do that stupid ankle lock. I mean, I know I don't want to be put in it. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure it hurts like a mofo. But it's like, come on, please, just stop.
I don't have, first of all, you should have a lower center of gravity. To me, when all the people that do the ankle lock are like 6 foot or shorter, like Kurt Angle and Ken Shamrock, and they have that low center of gravity where it just looks better. I'm not saying, I don't know how effectively an ankle lock is supposed to work. I've never trained, but when I, as a novice watching, someone that watches MMA and watches it, it looks better when you're at a lower center of gravity. He's standing up when he's doing it and pulling up. Probably some reason that hurts more. I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. Your move, the ankle lock is your move. The thing that he does that I hate is the Vader bomb, the Swagger bomb.
Yeah.
That just, it reeks. He's so slim. You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem like it hurts. Even though it probably does, I don't know. It doesn't look like it hurts. And that's what wrestling is about. It ain't whether it hurts or not, it's whether it looks like it hurts. That move doesn't look like it hurt. Like I said, if he wanted to add a nice German into his routine, Saito suplex, side suplex, just some power moves that puts a little oomph behind his size. He's like a big man that doesn't work like a big man.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So he just needs to just throw some shit in there. Throw some, like, in general, the 5 minutes of grappling at the beginning, me and Ryan were talking about, I really enjoyed that. It looked like they were really working, but this is me as in someone that does not do MMA. So someone might say, man, that looked like shit. I don't know. As a person that doesn't know what it's supposed to look like, it looked pretty entertaining to me. JR could use improvement on this match. I don't like him by himself commentating. He reeks of grumpy old man. And
yeah, his commentary was awful.
See, he just reeked of grumpy old man that doesn't understand what he's watching. That's what he came off of. I love Jim Ross. I worship Jim Ross. He's Oklahoman. He commentates wrestling. He just loves wrestling. He loves college football. JR, in a lot of ways, is a white version of me. You know what I mean? Love Jim Ross. But God, he wasn't good in this part. He just wasn't. And it's like, it's one of those things, I would honestly say it to his face. I'm like, I know you've been doing this 50 years, and good Lord, you could do this in your sleep if you are better than I could. I could study it for a year and not be half as good as you ever was. But good Lord, you were bad. Like, you took away from the match. And this is from a person that just says, I can generally ignore commentary. You were so bad, I actually paid attention to you.
You know, yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. It was awful.
You actively took away the attention from the match. Yep. To how angry you were in watching it. And I honestly think I might have enjoyed the match more if you were telling me that I should have been enjoying the match.
Yeah, he just screams of grumpy old man.
And it came out more, and because he was by himself, it came out more in this match. Anybody in like take me to task. Say, Floyd, this is the positivity showing. You're not positive. Dude, I really needed Amy or Tiffany this week because I couldn't spin it. If you can spin it, you've got a future in politics. I couldn't spin it.
It was bad.
I spent 2 days thinking of how to spin it, and I couldn't spin it. If you enjoyed it, more power to you. I heard Brian Alvarez thought Jim Ross was amazing. Tip my hat to him. If Brian Alvarez enjoyed it, great. Floyd Johnson, who wears AEW on his sleeve, that is a cheerleader. I make no bones about it. I am a shill for this company. I plan on being first row at the first show, wherever it is when we get back to us being back to live shows. That was bad. I hope you continue to listen to this show. I know you listen to the show because you like positivity and sprinkles. And Amy will be back on next week, hopefully. Her husband had surgery this week, so I don't know how that's going to happen. So, Andy, I wish you the best. Hope heal quickly. But
yeah, shout out to Andy. Good luck, man.
Yeah, hopefully you heal quickly. But I would just be lying to you if I said I thought this was good. It wouldn't be spin. It would be a lie. That's what I'm not gonna do.
And God bless you for it, sir.
It's like, so, yeah. Like I say, I would tell you, if someone's like, man, should I watch that match Wednesday? No, you shouldn't. Save your life. Save time out of your life. Do something else. Life's too short to spend 30-something minutes on what basically amounted to about 7 minutes of good wrestling.
Agreed. Yep. It was...
I even liked the ending. I liked how it did it. It kept Hager looking strong. But good Lord. So, you take the show, and he's like, oh, it's called All Elite Wrestling, and the Elite aren't on the show at all. No one from the Elite is on the show. Okay. You built the show around Jon Moxley and Hager. Do an excellent job. A+ building the show. To me, it was like if the Super Bowl was like 55-10. Or the Super Bowl was, honestly, it was like the New England St. Louis Super Bowl that was like 13-3. And the game was just boring as hell. You got all this promotion, all these commercials, blah, blah, blah. You did everything perfect. And then the game didn't meet the game didn't meet up with the build. And that's what happened. The match did not equal the build. The match was probably not as bad as I think it is, but the build was so good, the fact that the match let me down made me dislike it more.
Yeah, the build was awesome. And I mean, granted, I saw 1 week of the build, but the build was fantastic. And the match was fine. It was too long.
Yeah. Again,
too long. But the commentary was the drizzling shits. And, it was not... But, it's funny you mentioned the thing how it's all Elite Wrestling, but the Elite haven't been on it. I think one of the things that they have done really, really well is, yes, the show has taken their name from this faction that was started by the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, an offshoot of the Bullet Club. But they've really turned AEW into something that's not the Kenny, Cody, and Young Bucks show. There's a lot more depth to it than that. And this is saying as a guy who has not watched a ton of it, but just simply in the last 2 weeks, the fact that it has been the rest of the roster, I think is a real plus, because you get to see you get Lance Archer out there just being a freaking beast. You get Sean Spears, even though we're getting sick of him, wrestling and showing people that no, I can actually go. You get more looks at Sammy Guevara. You get that stare down when Darby Allin came out and save Pineapple Pete from getting the beat down from Sammy Guevara. That was really good. And just even the little things, like the little interactions some of the wrestlers have as they're walking around with the wrestlers in the air quotes crowd. So I think they've done a fantastic job just not making it about the 4 EVPs, because at that point it looks bad. It looks like you're just stroking your own ego or something. So my hat's off to him for that.
And somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this was the first main event in AEW on a TV show that was built completely around no one from the Elite and Chris Jericho not having really anything to do with it. It was about Mox and Hager,
and they did a fantastic job building it.
Yeah.
It
was just laying it flat. And it made me mad because I kept telling everybody that said, I don't want to see Hager. I was like, man, you haven't really seen him in AEW. Man, maybe he's changed some things. And it was just like, man, that was Jack Swagger versus Jon Moxley. It really was. It was like,
Yeah, because you couldn't go so far as to say that was Jack Swagger against Dean Ambrose, because it was still very much his Mox self. But yeah, it's GD Jack Swagger, man. Yeah. He's not dead. He's still there.
Yeah. So and he came back for a day. Again, this does not stop my love for Hager. This does not stop my love for Mox. It's just two people I was expecting a little bit more from. If they were brawling, let's say there was a crowd there and they were brawling through the crowd, I probably would have liked the match more. I think if Excalibur and Taz was on there and Taz was really putting over what Hager was trying to do, I probably would have liked the match more. I can give you a whole bunch of I probably would have liked the match more. But the match as presented to me, all I could think after I watched this episode of the show, which honestly, if let's say I was giving it a letter grade, I'd probably give it a C+. But this is the first time my letter grade was ever in the C's. All I could think is I hope this was no one's first episode of AEW Dynamite. It was just, that's it. It wasn't horrible. It's just like, I don't know if I watched this episode as my first wrestling show, if I would come back next week.
And that's fair. And I think as far as that match is concerned, I think that it gets a gentleman's 3 because they worked their butts off.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to take that away from them. It was just boring.
Yeah. You can usually get a bump if the crowd was into it. Unfortunately, that bump is non-existent right now.
Yep, indeed.
Yeah. So you don't get the bump if the crowd's into it because it's no crowd. And so no. I thought this was kind of a hard episode to get through. Like I said, I watched it once, and I started watching it again. I'm like, nope, not doing it.
Floyd had to tap out.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't. Next week we get 2. Like I said, I'm not going to dwell on it anymore. Next week on the next week we get 2. Count them, 2 TNT tournament matches. We get Dustin Rhodes versus Kip Sabian, and a match that I think there's no way it's not the match of the week through wrestling. Sammy G versus Darby Allin.
Oh God, that should be so good.
That is going to be so good. I'm like, that's really all you need to know for next week. But then you get the Omega Man, Kenny Omega, in action next week. Also on Monday, BTE episode 200, you get the dream match, Matt versus Nick Jackson. And you know it's going to be funny. So definitely tune in for that. It's like we got a lot of good wrestling coming up. You know, we can clean that out my head. You know what I mean?
Cleanse that palate.
Yeah.
You're going to get that nice palate cleansing.
Yeah, and it's just like they've been doing so much good stuff. If you follow the All Elite Wrestling Twitter account, Tony Schiavone, Cody did a live Q&A. Tony Schiavone did a live Q&A. I believe Joey Janela's been doing Instagram Live like every night. So, check those things out. The only Instagram Live if you're an adult over 18. I imagine we don't have a lot of kids listening to the show, if any. But just in case, don't be, Joey Janela does weird stuff. So, So, we got a lot of stuff coming up. I have watched lots of weekly television shows for the majority of my life. There's always, even in the middle of the Attitude Era, there was a Raw where I was like, that was just a show. It's going to happen. This was just a show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't, things can't always be great, because if they're always great, then when is anything great?
Yeah, but the big thing is that generally what AEW I thought was great at was the week-to-week adjustments. Even if they had, like, let's say they put on an A+ show and then the next week was a B, they would come back with an A because they could adjust. Well, when you pre-tape, like 6 weeks in a row, that takes adjustments away. You can't be like, well, we're going to do this better next week because you've already taped 6 weeks in advance. And, again, Pac, the Lucha Bros, Lucha Bros, the Young Bucks, Scorpion, the SC, all of SCU. You got all these people that can't come to the show and work. So that variety thing that you were getting every week, you're not getting now. This is not variety. This is a mixture of 15 people wrestling. So there's a lot of things. They're fighting with one arm tied behind their back right now.
Yeah.
And they're doing what they can. And I applaud the effort. And I do want to say this is not spin. I want to thank them for continuing to be able to put out product and give us something to look forward to every Wednesday. With a lot of places shut down, they were smart enough to take forward. And they're also not endangering the lives of the wrestlers by continuing to do live TV. That is not a shot. That is just me saying, being thankful for what that company is doing. So those are all good things. I thank Tony for existing. But yeah, so it's just all good. So Dave, overall thoughts?
Overall thoughts? I mean, overall, the show was fine. It was, again, I'm not an aficionado on this, but I've watched 2 weeks worth of Dynamite. It was fine. I mean, I don't feel like I wasted my hour or so, however long it took to watch it. Again, double time. Watching things in double speed is a glorious thing, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, there was stuff that was better than others, and yeah, I'll watch again.
I've never watched anything in double time ever.
Oh, it's good. It's good stuff.
No, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Don't knock it till you try it, baby.
And no, when we were doing the show together, and I missed something, I would speed watch those, and I didn't like it. It's just I need to take it in. It's like, do you do audiobooks?
I do.
Do you do those in double time?
Not generally double time. Unless I'm like really running out of time and they're about to have to be checked back into the library, I will. For the most part, I use the app Overdrive, which you can get through your local library, and check out audiobooks and ebooks right now. It's a tremendous service provided to you by your local library systems. But I always have mine on like 1.2 speed, so it's just a little bit faster, but not a whole lot faster. I will listen to, there's some podcasts I will listen to on double time. So for example, I'm a big comic book fan, right? And there is this one podcast that is strictly about DC Comics, which is my thing is DC Comics. I love DC Comics. But they are so annoyingly one-sided and just sucking on the teat of DC Comics. It's like, do you guys have an opinion of your own? Not everything DC Comics does is good. There's some utter dog crap they're putting out. But the whole time it's like, oh, everything is great. Everything is great. So I have to listen to that on double time just so I can hear whatever actual news they talk about, because their opinions annoy the piss out of me, because there's nothing natural or human about it. It's just, you're just regurgitating stuff. It's like, I'm like, stop it, please. This isn't all good. It can't always be good. It has to suck sometimes. And if you don't tell me when it sucks, then you're a goddamn liar. Which is why it was good today, folks, who, if you are like, why is Floyd being so negative? You know why it's good? Because at least now you can know Floyd's not lying to me on a weekly basis. It's not always sunshine and rainbows, folks. Yes, this is a positive show. Sometimes things suck. And you can say, hey, this positively sucked.
Okay.
Because the truth and being honest is far more important than spin and keeping up shtick.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hey.
Goddamn right.
God dang right. Yeah. There you go. No, but thank you, Dave, for being on the show.
You're very welcome.
I always like to. I love Tiffany and I love Amy, and if Tiffany and Amy could be on the show every week, that would be amazing, and of course my preference. But when they can't be on the show, I do like to bring someone outside of the fandom on the show. That's what Dave was here for today. He was outside of the fandom. So you get some more of a neutral opinion on what he thinks about things. And I appreciate your opinion, sir. And thank you. Thank you for coming on today.
You're very welcome. I enjoy this. For those of you who don't know, Floyd and I used to do a show together called Around the Ring. And in fact, there's an episode out there that we dropped fairly recently talking about Mania. And I miss talking to Floyd on a regular basis. Floyd's a very good man and a great friend. And so thank you for having me on, sir. I really have enjoyed it, and I appreciate it.
All right. Well, for Dave, thank you again for coming on. I always enjoy talking to you. If you noticed, the show was a little bit longer because this is what me and Dave do. Our Around the Ring episodes would get to up to 3 hours. We were basically voices of wrestling in a way. So, because, that's always, I tell everyone, that was the first podcast I listened to, Voices of Wrestling. So, again, a lot of my stuff comes inspired from the flagship. I've learned a lot from Keeping It Strong style, One Nation Radio. So I've developed my own style over a long time. But yeah, that's where it started originally. But
Chappin'.
Yeah,
Chappin'.
For Silky Dave Brown, this is Floyd Johnson reminding you, whether you're at home, close to home, the grocery store, or the 2 other places you get to go to, always do your best to be elite.